University's Center for Psychiatric Rehabilitation's goal is to connect our viewers with supportive resources in the community and to help individuals enhance their career development and overall well-being. Everyone can be successful with the right support.
In the last ditch, I think of you. In the last ditch, I will be true.
Good afternoon and welcome to Employment for All. My name is Kim Bissett and I'm the host of Employment for All. Each week we bring you interesting and informative guests to tell you about resources within the community that will help you reach your full potential. And this week is no exception. We'd like to welcome Nikki Pashka. She's a case manager at Side by Side and she's also a frequent guest here at Employment for All. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And we'd like to welcome Elena Weinberg. She's actually a client at Side by Side and she's going to tell us about her experiences there. We're so glad to have you both.
Thanks.
And we'd like to also remind you that our show is sponsored by the Department of Mental Health, and we'd like to thank them for their sponsorship. So, Nikki, let's start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, as you said, I'm a case manager over at Side by Side Supported Living. I do a lot of really unique and different things there because Side by Side is so unique. I help a couple of clients with day-to-day skills, the dinner program, which I'm sure we'll talk about. I do some skills group like core gifts. I also do grocery shopping, Saturday activities. I'm actually planning a trip to New York City for December, so that's really exciting. So a little bit of everything. It's nice.
So you wear many hats at Side by Side.
I do wear many hats.
Oh, fantastic. Keeps it interesting.
Yes.
Okay. And Elena, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 25 years old, and I currently volunteer at the MSPCA, as well as a program called Kids Can Cook, which is a volunteer after-school program teaching middle school children how to cook. And I love cooking and I love cats.
Oh, great. So those sounds like great matches for you in terms of internships. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Very cool. Excellent. Well, let's learn a little bit about Side by Side. Nikki, what is Side by Side?
Side by Side is a great place for people with a disability to come in and learn many skills that they need to be independent. And so we ask everyone who comes in, you know, what's your goal and what's your dream? And then all the case managers and all the staff at Side by Side work really hard to help move that person as far towards that dream, as close to that dream as possible. So like I said, it could be something like cooking skills or making appointments, things like that. But people do live with us in our building on Beacon Street in Brookline, which is absolutely gorgeous. And they have their own apartment, their own kitchen, and they are responsible for all of that on their own. And so I tell people it's the best way for someone to learn to be independent because it's the closest thing to actually being independent. It's a good bridge between not having those skills and having those skills.
Right, it's a great transitional place where people feel, okay, I live on my own, but the supports are there. And it's very in keeping with our mission here at Employment for All because we feel that everyone can be successful with the right supports. And too many programs, you end a residential program, they're like, okay, now you're on your own. And it's too much isolation for people. It's too high of a bar. Now I have to cook for myself. I have to buy my own groceries. I have to take my own medications. And if you experience any level of disabilities, that's extremely hard. It's hard for anyone, but it's particularly hard if you have different challenges in your life. So this is a wonderful, as you say, a bridge to help people really be successful when they're ready to go out on their own.
Yes, and we do a lot of personalization too, so it doesn't look the same for everybody. So someone might need a lot of help with shopping and cooking, and there are clients that we have that don't need very much help at all, and so we kind of let them swim out on their own and cook on their own. So it's a great, we do a lot of personalization, and I think that really is another key to helping people move forward the way they have at Side by Side.
Absolutely. That's actually a beautiful segue to Elena, who is actually quite a good cook. And she does a lot of different cooking, and you love the experience of the cooking piece. But tell us what else you like about Side by Side.
Side by Side feels like a big family to me. The staff is very supportive. The clients just feel like supportive when there's something going on and you need just some extra support or just you're in a tough spot. I actually met my boyfriend, Evan, through the program, which is really nice. So that makes me feel even closer to the program.
Absolutely. So you met a lot of nice friends. You find a real strong connection to side by
Yeah.
side. So not only does it provide kind of the material support you need, like housing and assistance with cooking and things like that, but actually a real emotional connection and really ways to facilitate your social development as well.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned activities. Can you tell us a little bit about, Nikki, kind of how those activities get facilitated? How do you plan those activities?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm kind of in charge right now of doing the Saturday activities. So every Saturday, we plan a different activity. So far we've done apple picking, we've gone to the zoo, we went to the Renaissance Fair a couple weekends ago. We just have a great time, go out to dinner afterwards. It's a really good, nice social day. And then, but as far as like how we pick them, we've been voting actually recently. So I put up a little ballot with a bunch of choices, and all the clients get an opportunity to vote, and then I make the calendar by their votes. It's a lot, like any of those TV shows that you vote for your favorite. And I get to be the official ballot keeper. So I think it's worked out pretty good though, so far, yeah.
Oh, cool. So it's really person-centered planning. It's really driven by what the people want to do and what activities they would enjoy.
Absolutely.
Elena, do you have any favorite activities?
Well, I love the dinner program, mostly because I love to cook. I love the Saturday activities. I participate in pretty much all of them. And I love, we have various skills groups and career groups during the week that I love to participate in.
Oh, okay, great. So it's kind of all different levels of development. So you have the social development, the emotional development, and also the vocational development.
Yeah.
Excellent. Nikki, could you tell us a little bit about the groups?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right now we're doing 3 groups, and one has a real career focus, so resumes, cover letters, probably a lot of the stuff that you talk about here, just helping people brush up on their skills. We also do another group called Minimizing Communication Frustration, where we talk about verbal and nonverbal communication, boundaries, things like that, just basic skills to help everyone be the best communicator that they can be. And then the third group that we're doing right now is called Core Gifts, which is a really unique approach to helping people find out a lot more about themselves and why they're here and what their gift is to give. So I think the Core Gifts has become a secret favorite of a lot of people, so I'm very pleased with that. Yeah.
Very cool. How do you feel about the Core Gifts, Elena?
I love it. It's an opportunity for me to explore my inner self, and I've also gotten feedback from family and friends, and it's just a way for me to look within and find, who I am in a way, and through various different paths.
Excellent. Yeah, it's really in life we don't have enough time to kind of be introspective and figure out, well, what do I like and what am I here to give and what are our strengths? And when we talk about employment, that's really critical to figure out, what do we like to do and how does it match up with who we are and what the job market might be out there? Because some people come to me and they said, I just want a job, any job. And I say, oh, okay, great. I know a guy who fish window cleaning company and he loves to hire people. If you can get up at 7 in the morning and you have your own car and you like to clean, there's a great potential that he may hire you. And people say, oh no, I don't want to clean windows. I don't do windows. So it's kind of figuring out, people don't really they don't want any job. You have to take the time to figure out what you like and what can that bring out of you. And really when you ask yourself the question, what are you here to contribute? You really find that great connection. And that's when you see the people who are truly happy at what they do. And that's why I think Core Gifts is so powerful, because it helps people link up with that. It helps people really define who they are, what they're here to give, and then what's out there. How do they match that up?
Absolutely, because I can't tell you how many times I've met with people who experience a disability or don't. And just across the board, when you ask some people what they like to do or what their dreams are, what their hopes and aspirations are, a lot of people cannot give you an answer. They just don't know. They might know something way out there, I want to be a rocket scientist, but they don't know the steps to get there or anything like that because they haven't had the opportunity to explore that. And so what's really nice about Core Gifts too is that there are the 4 paths, and so if one doesn't work for you, we try some of these other ones and we kind of mush them all together at the end, and usually we come out with a really nice product of, like I said, why, what it is that you like to give and what it is that you're good at giving. So it's fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the core gift is based on the community activators.
Right.
And they're actually out of New York, and they've done a lot of powerful research, and they have a book called The Teacher's Gift, if anyone's interested. But let's define the 4 paths, Nikki. Can you explain the 4 paths and how people would kind of get to figure out what their core gift statement is, which is really a powerful process. And I've worked on it with people, and people say, like, my core gift, and some people put it up on the wall, and some people decorate little kind of insignias around it and kind of to identify with it. But it's very interesting. People kind of sit up a little straighter, and they're very excited once they define what their core gift is.
There's a lot of pride in that, and I remember you were saying that your core gift statement had a lot to do with what the Employment for All kind of tagline is that everyone can be successful with the right supports, and that was born from core gifts.
Absolutely. We defined that. I worked with a team of young people, and we all did the core gifts together, and it was a really powerful process. And we determined that one of my strengths was helping people find the supports they need and also break down the level that they go to, because a lot of people have a goal, but they don't know how to break it down, and they don't know where to start, and then they feel really stuck.
Right.
So it's kind of identifying, well, what do you need to do, and who do you need to help you? Whether it's clearing clutter from your apartment, or it's fixing your resume, or whether it's learning to cook. There's all different people who are out there to help you. And it's just kind of figuring out, well, what makes the most sense? If someone can't fill out an application because their hand is a little bit shaky, well, let's do a resume. That would bypass that step. They need the support of that. Doesn't mean they can't work. If someone has difficulty getting up early in the morning because they have medications that make them very groggy, well, let's look at jobs that begin at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., or 12 a.m. Doesn't mean they can't work. And I think sometimes people come at it from that. If there's not this standard checklist, if they don't meet that, the individuals or the clients, then they can't work. But I really work around that and say, well, what are your strengths? How can we begin somewhere? Like, what would help?
Mm-hmm. And that's, personalization, which is what Side by Side is all about, and it's really what Core Gifts is all about. And so the 4 paths starts off with interviewing. And so the participant, the person doing Core Gifts, would send out emails, phone calls, just a way to get in contact with friends, family, somebody that they're close with. And you really just ask that person, what more than anything have I contributed to this relationship? And we get all kinds of answers back. And some of those answers, correct me if I'm wrong, Elena, were really good answers, right? Yeah. We liked those answers. They're really powerful. And so, they're a shot in the arm, and that's the first one that we usually do. And so already we're in the green, we're winning on that one. Then we move on to, interviewing yourself. And so there's a little bit of a questionnaire almost. And so we work our way through that. One of the questions on there is basically, what job would make you so excited that you couldn't sleep the night before? People really like that question.
I love that question too. It's very fun. And of course, it's hosting Employment for All.
Right, that's clearly obviously what it is. So just a couple of different questions. So the first one, like I said, we're asking other people. The second path, we're really asking ourselves similar questions. What do you really bring to the table more than anything else? The third path is the wound, which is really just exploring how you've dealt with any kind of struggle in your life. It's unfortunate, but we've all struggled, or we will struggle in our life, and so not looking at that struggle from lying on the couch crying about it, but
woe
really,
is me, yeah.
Well, right, no, woe is me, but more, well, what would have changed that? So for some people, what would have helped them in that time of suffering or struggle would be just a mentor or someone who would have listened. Mm-hmm. And so we start to look at those pieces. What would have helped? What would have changed it? What would have made it better? And then the fourth path is spirituality. And when we talk about spirituality, we're not talking about organized religion or anything like that, but it's really just what makes you feel like centered and whole. And for some people that's, swimming or riding a bike or playing with animals or doing music, something like that. You really just look at why you really like doing that and how that plays in with all of the other things that we've talked about. And after all of those, we take all the information that we have, and we put it in front of us, and we kind of pull it apart and work together as a team. Usually we open that up to the group if we're doing core gifts in a group, and bounce ideas off each other and come up with a core gift statement. And it really reflects what it is that you're here to give and what is your core gift. And that's also a very powerful moment. So we haven't quite gotten there at Side by Side yet, but we're really looking forward to that day. It'll be great. So
very cool. So tell us, Elena, how has kind of either your internships or Side by Side kind of helped you kind of in your recovery path? Because you've really come a long way in your kind of recovery piece, and what elements have helped you the most?
Just the support from staff if there's an issue that I have. I know I can turn to them, and through experience of turning to them after a little once or twice, I know that I can look within myself to find that answer, because I've already figured that answer out before. Nothing else quite comes to mind.
It's really the confidence that, through having some support, the confidence that you've built within yourself has really helped you to move forward. Because you know in the past, because you've had help, you can get through things. So now you have more internal reserves to help you go out and do things. And now you have a very busy schedule. You're in classes, you go to 2 different internships, and you're balancing those. And you're moving forward and you're determining what are your core gifts and how are you going to contribute even more fully as you go on and develop. So you're at a very exciting place in your recovery.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Come pretty far.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's exciting to think about. Now, what advice would you give to other people who are just starting in their recovery journey? They might be having difficulty getting out of bed. They might be thinking that, that things are very challenging. We've heard a lot, unfortunately, in the news about different people that haven't been able to move forward or that have had a very difficult time. What advice would you give to them in terms of hanging there, starting out? What makes the difference? What helped you to move forward? What helped you figure out, boy, there's more to this, I can do it?
Well, at first it's really hard to determine when the situation arises, where do you go from here? But for me, in my case, when I came to Side by Side, I got the support. I finally got the supports that I needed, and they were able to help me and continue to help me work on my goals and pretty much goals and kind of developing my path to success and to recovery.
Absolutely. So helping you create a plan and thinking about, well, what do you want in the future and how are you going to get there? Because there are many steps. We encourage a lot of people when we counsel people in job development, well, where do you begin? A lot of people say, I know I need a job, but where do I begin? And we really sit down with people and figure out what's the best first step. And one of the best first steps is informational interviewing, to sit with someone who, and that's actually very close to what you do in Core Gift. You sit down with someone who you care about and who cares about you and tells you things that, boy, you're good at this and you're good at this and you're good at this. These are avenues to explore. And it sounds like the staff was really able to do that for you, to say, these are your strengths, how can we build on them? How can we help you move forward?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nikki, how else do you see staff being instrumental in Side by Side in people's recovery?
Well, I think Elena really said it best, is that sometimes staff is there and we're really a big part of daily life, and sometimes we know when to step back and just let people go on autopilot. Like I said earlier, some people need more support in the kitchen than other people, so for some people I cut up all the vegetables, and for other people I just sit and we just have a nice little chat while we're cooking. So I think that the flexibility that the staff has to dive in and be a part of something when they need to and step back when they know that's an opportunity for growth. But I think that piece is really critical for each person. Again, the personalization, just really changing it by the person for the person and just helping them, whatever that means, so.
Absolutely, working side by side with someone, which is absolutely the motto. And it brings to mind the quote of Abraham Lincoln: the worst thing you can do for someone is something they can and should do for themselves. And I think that's the nice balance, and I think that's how people really move forward, because you have to give people expectations to meet. And so figuring out, well, how does this person move forward? What kind of supports do they need to move forward? I've worked with people who, staff or people they work with said, this person isn't ready to work. They can't even get out of bed. And I said, well, I've sat with the people and said, well, to one man, young man in particular, I said, well, what would you like to do? And he said, well, I'd love to be an accountant. And I said, oh, really? Okay, great. Well, let's look into programs. And he got in a program, and the program helped him with computer skills. And he said, well, I really want to work with financial things. And I said, okay, great. And we ended up getting an internship, and then he was actually got a paid position, and he worked 3 days a week. And he got out of bed, he never missed a day. And everyone was like, I don't understand. But he didn't meet the necessary criteria of, quote unquote, ready to work, but he found what he wanted to do. So then we got him a second position that was paid, and he got out of bed those 2 days, and they were like, he wouldn't make it to psychiatrist appointments. He was often late for those or missed them. He wouldn't make it to meet with different people in his life and wouldn't even sometimes make it to the grocery store, but he would totally make it to both his paid positions because they were in line with what he wanted to do with his future. So I think that's what we have to make this shift for, because some people say, well, this person has to make their bed before they're work ready, or they have to fill out an application without any errors, or they have to comply with everything. And life is not like that. We all have four different burners. I love the analogy of the burners on the stove. We can't have kind of all burners on at once, but let's find the one that sparks for people. Let's find the thing that's most interesting. And for you, Elena, it's cats and it's cooking. Yeah. So we found 2 great internships that meet those needs. And I think that's what's really helped you kind of excel and figure out, well, how do I like to do that? So like you're not a morning person, but you may just get up a little earlier to get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. And a lot of people don't focus on that as much as they should. We have to really build from what is interesting to you and what motivates you. Fantastic. So do we have any kind of final thoughts? If someone was trying to contact you, Nikki, at Side by Side, how would they do that?
They would call Side by Side. I don't know if the number is going to pop up or not.
You can say it.
Oh,
sometimes it's shown, and you can say it too.
Another good way to get a hold of me is via email. So you can email me at npashka, so it's NPASHKA at sidebyside, INC, short for incorporated.com. That's a good way to get a hold of me. Otherwise, you can call me directly on my line, which is 617-416-0443. And that's a good way to get a hold of me if you have any interest in the Saturday activities. We do an outreach program too, so you don't have to live with Side by Side to do the activities. So if you're a person who experiences a disability and want to hang out with us on Saturday, that's a good way to get in contact with me.
That's actually a great point, that you don't have to live at 1470 Beacon Street. You can just participate. You can have support at your own place, so that if you want to maintain a residence outside of there and you want extra supports and you just need that type of case management or vocational support, you can actually parcel out what services you need. So that's a great point. And if you're just looking for people to do activities with, I mean, I want to go on some of the activities. There are the duck boat tours, and some of the movies are great, and you guys went to the Renaissance Fair, and someone the other day I was telling them about Side by Side, and they were like, the the Renaissance Fair, I would love to go there. And I said, oh, cool, sign up. So that's a great point, that people can come, and people can just come for an interview or a tour just to check it out and see what it's like. We're always looking to kind of build our community partnerships. Well, that's great. Any final thoughts that you want to share with anyone that's on the fence thinking about kind of how to move forward?
I don't think so. I think I've pretty much said everything I can say. Usually I'm pretty talkative.
So very much you've given your mission that people just have to find a place to start. And I think that's really what the goal is. Find out what they like and find out, where a good place to start is. Excellent. Well, very good. Well, thank you very much, Elena, for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Nikki, for being with us once again on Employment for All.
Sure.
And I'd like to thank the viewers very much for tuning into Employment for All. We really appreciate your support. And we'd like to encourage you to look out for that person who might just need your extra support to reach their full potential. And really, it's the supports that make a difference to help people really move forward in their lives. And you could be that key resource. I'd like to also say thank you very much to the Department of Mental Health. We appreciate your support in sponsoring Employment for All as well. So this is Kim Bissett saying we hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next week on Employment for All.